And namaste, everybody. Bruce here from rootsoflife.org. One of the questions that I'm approached with quite often from my Shodan students, my level 1 Reiki students, is regarding the hand placements. And, the idea here on the hand placements in the Usui Reiki Ryoho hands-on healing method is that there's a number of hand placements that move out throughout the body. And as we are learning Reiki, we learn that we should be practicing and working with each and every one of the hand placements. Now, depending on where you've learned Reiki, you may have heard different times or different approaches to this, but it's usually discussed that each one of the hand placements should be held for 3 minutes, right? Now, the question that I'm asked is, do I need to do every hand placement? And do I need to do every one for 3 minutes? And so I want to dive into that here in this video and give my thoughts on that discussion. First and foremost, when we're learning Reiki, when we're sitting with Shodan with level 1, we're coming into a space of a new understanding of a practice of healing. Shodan literally means the initial understanding, or it's like opening the book to Reiki. Now, there's a beauty in the hand placements when we're thinking about them from Shodan, because imagine somebody who's had no connection to energy, to themselves, to their body, nothing at all. This is brand new to them. So we need to cultivate a space where we come in contact with the body, perhaps the first time. And not only are we coming into contact with the body, but notice also what we're doing here is we're coming into loving contact with the body. That's a huge step. And sadly, a step that, in society, we are not taking as much as we should, right? And so when we go from hand placement 1 to 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and so on down the body, what are we actually doing here? Well, what we're doing is we're isolating that one part of the body and sitting with it in kindness and with love and the stillness, right? So when we place our hands, for instance, over the eyes, when we get into a space where we're working with Reiki and we begin to work over the eyes, the first hand placement, what are we doing here? We're not holding a conversation about healing the eyes. We're not holding a conversation, hopefully, from a perspective of want. We're actually holding a conversation from a perspective of silence. How are the eyes doing? It's almost like where the hands are, you're giving a quiet, uninterrupted moment for that part of the body to be heard. And so you can notice this is kind of one of the reasons I think that we start with the eyes, because they're so sensitive. When you put your hands over your eyes and you just hold that space, you can start to feel that tingling or pressure in the eyes. You might be able to start to feel your face relax. We have a lot of tension that we hold here in the eyes. And when we work on that, creating that space, we can really feel it very quickly. Likewise with the temples. Hand placement number 2. When we're working on the temples, we can start to perhaps feel the energy relaxing the mind, relaxing the skull and the face. So you see, we have these moments of calm, of peace, of stillness, right? We have a moment where we can finally listen. Without story, without our own belief, without our ego, we can listen to the eyes, listen to the temples, listen to the heart. We don't do that enough, We don't hold that space of silence. When we place the hands over the heart, for instance, we don't just sit. We don't just listen. We have I'm speaking in generalities, of course, here, but we have a society or a culture that speaks. It doesn't listen. So it demands. It doesn't learn, right? It demands paths. It doesn't recognize and walk on those paths necessarily. What do I mean by that? What I mean is when we turn inward like this to the heart, we need to listen. And that's what the 3 minutes helps us to cultivate. It helps us to be in a space with the hand placement on whichever placement you're working on, it gives it enough time with enough repetition of daily practice to really listen. Listening to the organs, listening to the body, listening to the emotions, listening to all the aspects of the body here that are coming forward. We listen, right? Now, does that mean that we have to listen to every hand placement for 3 minutes every day? Well, remember, one of the guiding precepts of Reiki is just for today I will not worry, right? And a second guiding precept here that I want to discuss is just for today I will do my work honestly. So let's look at the two of those in relation to the hand placements. If we're sitting in our space of Reiki and we know, for instance, maybe I've got a really, really busy day and all I can do is dedicate 5 to 10 minutes to my Reiki self-practice today. I'm tired, I've got a lot on my plate, whatever it may be. What is doing my work honestly and what does not worrying mean? Well, if I think, well, how can I do it 3 minutes here, 3 minutes here, and 3 minutes here, then I'm already almost to 10 minutes. So what about the rest of the body? Just for today, don't worry. And just for today, do your work honestly. So if you're still wanting to hold 3 minutes, then just take whatever time you have, holding the space of each hand placement for 3 minutes until you're out of time, right? Or you can also, if you're familiar with this or you feel comfortable with this, surrender the list of the hand placements fully once you feel comfortable with enough silent observation and listening to the body. Well, then shouldn't you arrive to a place where the hand placements become intuitive, right? The body will tell you instinctively, physically, emotionally, whatever it might be, it will tell you where the hand placements are needed. So if we arrive at our practice of Reiki for the day, our practice of self-healing for the day, with a level of honesty and stillness, without worry, following the precepts, well then what if we just need to hold the heart, or the solar plexus, or the throat, or the head, in any of the number of hand placements that are on the scalp, the skull, the temples, right, over the eyes? What if we just know that we need 10 minutes for that moment, for that day, right? This is where you need to be very careful about doing your work honestly. I've got 5 minutes, let me just turn inward. Quiet mind, still breath. Listen to the heart. That's doing your work honestly. If you're sitting with the hand placements and you're rushing through them to try to do every one of them because you only have 10 minutes, well then you're worried because you're not going to get your work done with your hand placements. You're not on the hand placements for long enough time. Any number of beliefs might be coming up about the hand placements here, and we need to surrender those beliefs so that we can follow the precepts. So work on the hand placements, in my opinion, initially, if you can, for 3 minutes to cultivate that feeling and that communication with the body. But once that's there, then try to surrender the hand placements, the list anyways. We surrender the list and we just go with our intuition. And indeed, just keeping the hands, perhaps one on the heart like I have here, and then one on the lower abdomen. What if we just stayed here for 20 minutes? Eventually you'll feel that energy moving through the whole body, and that will do the same thing as all the hand placements. What if the body is actually completely still, right? What if you can close your eyes and slow your breath and you feel no tension? You feel, in whatever way you might feel or experience the movement of energy, if you can have that experience moving through your entire body, do you need to do the hand placements at all? The energy is moving, right? Your hands are just the facilitator to the conversation, or the connection rather, to that space of the body. So if I have a busy body with tension, stress, whatever it might be, well then if I place my hands over my heart, because there's the tactility of the hands, I can feel my sweatshirt underneath my hands. I can feel the heat, feel my heart beating. Well then my brain is making that connection here. It's becoming singularly aware of the heart. I'm becoming less aware of the rest of the body. So I'm becoming more aware of what the heart is trying to say, and I can become more quiet and listen to the heart. See, that's the space that the hand placements will allow you to cultivate. If your body's already quiet, then just sit in quiet. That's the space, right? So all of that comes back to doing your work honestly. There's no shortcuts to this. Because why would there be? If Reiki is a practice of healing the self, right? Healing your physical body, your emotional body, your spiritual body, why would we take a shortcut to that? Now, of course, you might not want to heal. Of course, there's been, maybe it's been too stressful. There might be too much coming up. It might be too cathartic and everything. Well, we still do our work honestly, and we recognize maybe we need to rest before we do more Reiki work. So see, sometimes it's said like in the 21 days after every training that you should be sitting where you do your own self-practice, that you have to practice those hand placements every single day. You have to practice what you've learned every single day. But if you can't, just for today, don't worry, right? Just for today, recognize that you're trying to do your work honestly, and maybe in order to do your work tomorrow, you need to rest today. So if we can look at the hand placements as ladders, for instance, if you're brand new to this, I would encourage you to absolutely 3 minutes on all the hand placements as you've been taught. Once that communication becomes more facilitated, then maybe not 3 minutes. Maybe not needing to start with the eyes, maybe just starting where you feel drawn. And once you get to a point where you can let go, then just let go. Just be in that space and allow that energy to flow. Doing your work honestly recognizes where you are on that spectrum. And wherever you are on that spectrum is where you are. So that's the work that you do honestly. It's the same for me. It's the same for, I hope, everybody listening to this. There might be days where you're more relaxed, so you can just sit. There might be days where you're more stressed, so you have to go through the hand placements. As it is, that's where you are, right? So I hope that helps. I hope that gives to some clarity on the hand placements and my thoughts on them and my practice on them. As always, everybody, be well. Thank you for tuning in, and namaste in Gassho to all of you. Be well.